Michigan, terribly uptight.
Day one.
I am actually ready for
5:30. We're ready.
Okey-dokey.
pull down next year.
You're on.
I'm on.
You're on.
We're down.
No thanks. Thanks, but no
Uh,
thanks. I
Everybody have like
can't.
the
Then I'll have.
Everybody got their,
You got agendas?
agenda?
Agendas?
Got one.
Nick?
Got one.
Got one.
I guess we'll start out with wastewater. I didn't do a PowerPoint this time because, I guess because I was going to be prepared. But hopefully next time we'll have PowerPoint.
Outside,
Should
I'm on.
good.
I know. We're done.
What's that?
Just so nobody will ask any questions.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question before you get started? I was trying to roll over my mind and I couldn't find my minutes. Did you say that you were cleaning a well?
Mhm. Yeah, I'm going to talk about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we are cleaning well.
Oh, here it is. Okay.
I'm going to talk a little bit about the update on the digester and aeration improvements. And basically, what that is that's an improvement we're making to the digesters. The header system has arrived. It's an all stainless steel header system.
That worked out all right Saturday.
Yeah, everything worked out.
Friday.
Yeah, it was Friday.
Yeah.
It was Friday. Yeah, everything worked out real well. Basically, just called the guy up, told him that, we got plenty of places in town to park and about a mile away.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was
Yeah.
But anyway, the header system's arrived. We're waiting on the flight pumps. We're about 3 weeks away from the flight pumps. Mid-Ohio Mechanical wants to start at the pump and work its way out into the digesters. They don't want to do the headers in the digesters. They want to get the pump and everything lined up first because they're going to be core drilling through the concrete. And they want to make sure everything matches up really well.
What kind of pump?
It's called a flight pump. It's the manufacturing name. It's on there, on your copy. Pumps.
I couldn't tell what it was.
Yeah. And that's a pump that we get that we try to use a lot in the city, which is a very good pump. It comes from Sweden. And it just is a long time for it to arrive, but once they get here, it's been a very good pump for us to use. So that's kind of where we're at. We're kind of looking at 3 weeks probably before we start the construction on
Where are
it.
we storing the stuff at?
It is inside the plant, in between the digesters.
Oh, in that building right there.
Yeah. So, but any questions on the header system?
One thing on that pump, being that it's made in Sweden, we have problems with it. Is there somebody here that represents them?
Oh, yeah. We have a company that represents the parts and everything for that. We can send the pump away to them and they can do the repairs on it and everything. And they have a really good warranty, so I think it's 3 or 4 year warranty. If anything happens within that 3 or 4 years, there's some partial, we can be reimbursed on that. So
We've switched over. Every time we get a chance to switch, we switch to them because we have a lot better luck with that pump.
They take good care of
They
it.
take good care of it.
It's just getting the initial pump in is what takes all the time. They just don't want to stock them.
Yeah, there's parts are available here in Ohio. It's just when you order a new pump to spec, it has to come and it takes a little bit longer.
So they're actually making it to the specs.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Now, is this on the inside work, is there outside work?
There will be inside of a tank. Yeah, a lot of it's inside when they're working on the pumps, but then when they put the header system in, it's outside. They'll be inside of a tank with the roof off of it. Okay, so they'll be out of the wind, but then still you're into the elements and stuff.
What's going to snow early, I just wondering.
Do you think it is?
Oh, I think
Or we're not gonna hit two.
Minnesota got a snow day before yesterday.
They can work in the snow. We got snow shovels down there.
No,
It snowed this morning.
Yeah, there was some ice on it. But yeah, things are moving along good on the header system and the digester improvement. I think Nick's really going to be happy once we get that in. I think we're going to see some really good improvements on our sludge and pressing and so forth. And Nick's the one who kind of heads up the solids end of it, and it's going to be really nice for him. I think you'll see a big improvement.
they do something down there, used to, I don't remember way back, you could drive by there, you'd almost have to hold your nose, but you never smell anything driving by there now.
I did the other night.
There's times when, you know, it can be a little bit worse than others.
Pretty rank.
Yeah, there's
Well,
times.
should help
when-
with that a little bit.
Sure was.
Oh, this will help with it. Oh, yeah.
Last, Thursday night.
A lot of it's got to do with how you aerate things, and you want to keep it aerated. And the digesters, we get a lot of fumes from the digesters. So this header system that we're putting in, this jet aerator, will help a lot. So, but a lot of it just comes from the screen building, and that's the initial. And if you're right at the screen building, the new screen building, when you just go around the bend, that's just raw sewage coming
That's
in
gonna
there.
just hit you in the face.
And
That's the first time that I can ever remember smelling it. Really?
yeah.
I mean,
Oh, really?
yeah.
No, it's not the first time.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying that.
We try to control it as much as we can. So, and the screen building is open this time of year. As it gets cooler, the screen building will be closed, and we have a ventilation system in there that exchanges the air in there frequently, and that kind of helps a little bit too. So. Anything else on the digester improvements? Okay, sewer line repair behind the post office. I don't know, I brought, it's been maybe a couple months, but I brought in some pictures of some sewer pipe that was fractured, and I had it up on the screen and everything. And we are going to repair a portion of that this year, about 212 feet of that. We're gonna line it.
That's the one where you're gonna put a liner
We're gonna
inside.
put a liner inside of it, and that'll be finished up. Well, I got the PO back today, so once I contact the person who does the lining, then I think they should move pretty quickly on it. Just to give you an idea, this gentleman was pretty hungry. First, one of the bids that we got was $120 a foot. Another bid we got was $100 a foot. This bid here came in at $88 a foot. So that's pretty reasonable
Now,
for that.
do they pull that through?
They pull it through and then it expands.
Okay.
It's really neat how it works. We used this company down on Indian Field Point, where we did a point repair, and they did a really good job for us.
The same company?
The same company, yeah. It's called Nova Liner, as the people that's doing the work.
Don't they use hot water or something?
They actually, yeah, there's a chemical bond that takes place and it heats up and forms. And it's really neat. I think I showed you guys some of that, and I may have it on a PowerPoint, but that's
Kinda
basically
neat.
kind of the same way that they do it.
And you're doing 220 feet?
212 this year,
212
and then we're gonna probably do about 230 feet next year
on the same line?
on the same line.
It's that bad.
It's pretty bad. It's probably the worst line in the city.
How much next year again?
Probably about another 230 feet next year. And it involves some repair possibly to a manhole. And I put that in the budget when the mayor and I discussed the budget, I put that in the budget for next year for the rest of that repair. Had a little bit of a run-in with the owner of the post office behind there, trying to get him to remove about 4 trees. We originally thought maybe we need to remove all the trees, but it's kind of looking like there's about 4 trees that's directly on top of the sewer line. I think it may be causing some of our problems. And these trees are a good size, and they're right on top of the sewer line. I had John Groff over there to try to make sure that we had an easement, because I was going to contact AEP, because AEP has overhead lines there too.
Yeah.
Sometimes AEP will take down the trees at no cost, and then all we would do is haul them away. Met with the owner, and the owner's not sure he wants to take the trees down, but that's when I contacted John Groff, and he said that if it's within our easement and we have an easement, then we have the right to take those trees down. We do have the right to take the trees down.
Do we have an easement?
I don't know. John Groff is still investigating that.
Still measuring.
Because that line was put in before we became a city. So we're just wondering what kind of records were kept. and he's supposed to be investigating that. I told him it's not a big rush, but we would like to know as soon as possible, because this isn't being planned till, this portion of it's not being planned until next year. But we still wanna know so we can get those trees out of the way as soon as possible. Because we will have to definitely do some work on the manhole where a tree exists real close to that. So we're gonna have to dig that up, and that tree's gonna be in the way. And of course, whenever you have trees sitting over top of sewer lines, I mean, they have a tendency to migrate. If there is a fracture, they migrate inside the sewers, and I showed you pictures of roots and stuff inside the sewers.
Back before your time, might be good for Mark to know, when they were working, you know, we was having, your dad was still mayor, and we just had a lot of petroleum products getting in the sewer line up down through here where we changed the creek bed. And there was a company, they called themselves In Situ Form. And they wanted to do that whole, they said that was, well, one engineering group might have been Burgess and Nyepel. Said that was probably the only thing we could do unless we, or replace the whole sewer line. But they was asking more than what you're saying there. Even
Oh yeah, it's an expensive, you know, I think it's gotten cheaper as time goes on, plus it's at the end of the year, and some of these people right now are trying to
work.
They need some work just to keep their people busy.
And I think what they did, they used one of those things and saw over the scope on it, you know, the
Oh
camera.
yeah, camera.
And they did it in the sections, you know, where it was the worst, and I think it did cure the problem.
Yeah. Well, that's what we do. We try to do so much sewer line every year on places we suspect there may be problems. And then we'll, you know, that tells us what's going on. And we found this sewer line and it was in pretty bad shape. So, you know, because we investigate them and we camera on so many feet, I think we average about 4,500 to 6,000 square feet a year that we actually camera.
Now, do you know the camera?
Yeah, we do. It's kind of, it's called a push camera.
You
It's
don't
not,
have one that's on the.
no, it's about $65,000 for a portable unit on that. So, maybe someday. You know, but,
Yeah, wish list.
yeah. We'll get that capital improvement fund up a little bit. Maybe. So, I think I kind of discussed that there, so. Any questions on the sewer? SCADA improvements to the raw influent pumps.
What's SCADA?
SCADA is how we monitor, like remotely, pump stations and pumps, and even out in the plant sometimes, and we call that SCADA. It stands for something. I'm not sure.
I don't remember. It's
I
been
can't
so long.
remember. Yeah,
I reported in a meeting once, you weren't listening.
Yeah, some of those transmitters, we used in the same place they have
Mhm.
the safety transmitters for the radios.
It's actually a radio, it's radio control. Almost everything SCADA now is radio controlled. There is some hardwired stuff, but then we transfer it to the SCADA, or hardwired to a SCADA within the plant there. But what we found out was on one of the raw pumps, if we shut one of the raw pumps down for repair, all three raw we can't get an alarm. So what we did was we rewired that. We got with Legend Electric, rewired that, and made it so that it tied it in with the SCADA. And we just used our local electrician. Didn't cost us a whole lot of money, and was able to enable that so that it would work. So if you did have one raw pump out, it didn't kill the whole thing. I mean, you could actually get an alarm on 2 and 3. Like if number 1 was out, 2 and 3 still gives us a signal and lets us know what's going on. That sound good, man?
Yeah.
But what was really kind of nice about it is we got a quote from another company that does SCADA work, and they were going far and beyond what we really needed for there, and I think the bid was like $15,000, and we got this done with a local for about $1,500. So, but there was going to be a lot more stuff involved in that we didn't really feel that we needed at this time. Maybe down the road somewhere, but right now we didn't. It was just a little bit overkill. So any questions on the raw pump skating system? I'm gonna update you a little bit on the utility easement acquisition for Fox Run and Scioto lift station. Remember, these are the two lift stations we're trying to do away with. There are three easement people that we have to negotiate with easements. I've met with two of the three. It looks like they're gonna be pretty reasonable to deal with. They're not asking for any large sums of money or anything like that. I have one more property owner to meet with, and that's TTG, which is Sunbelt Rentals up here. And I just got a hold of him today. I've got to put some stakes out where things are gonna be so he can understand what's gonna happen. In that area of Sunbelt Rentals, the sewer line's gonna be 20 feet deep, but we're gonna bore it. We're going underground, so he's not gonna see anything. So I'm hoping that, if he knows it's for the city and improvements for us, I'm hoping that he'll go along with what we're gonna do. It's gonna be to their extreme north side. It's gonna hug the property line between the two houses there. There'll be some manholes set in different places, so every so often you're gonna see a hole and it's gonna be dug where they'll set a manhole, but you won't see like open trenches and all that. All that work will be done toward the back on Mrs. Hoskinson ground. That will be open trenched, and a lot of that will be on Fox Run subdivision because we have a 10-foot easement there. We have to get an additional 10 feet, make it a 20-foot easement to dig this new line in. But that's gonna be a really nice improvement to get rid of Fox Run and Scioto. Don't you think so?
Absolutely.
I mean, two less places we have to, pay electricity on, have maintain generators, go out and check them every day. It's just,
You said that you were trying, if I remember right, you were trying to get those manholes or do the, like, near work, would be divided up into property.
right. It's trying to do that. So, we have one person that is not, I don't know if you're familiar up here on 79, but we have a lift station right in her front yard. She's not too crazy about that, but we're gonna add an additional manhole to that. And she seemed pretty good with it. But like I say, once I get what they're gonna be asking for, then I'll meet with the mayor and he's gonna tell us. I'm sure the mayor's gonna say, this is doable or it's not doable or whatever. But so far, nothing's been very drastic. Because no one's asking for millions of dollars or really any kind of money in any form. They just have some favors they want us to do for them to get the utilities. But things are moving along, and I'm hoping, sometime the first of next year that we can actually start on that improvement. The design work and everything is half of it's being done now. The other half will be done first of the year for Scioto.
Now, is this like, you say you'd like to do this next year?
Yes, I will. And I'm hoping that we can,
Fall and winter.
well, I would wait till the weather broke a little bit when I knew things were gonna be pretty nice and, we'll bid it out when the money's there. Now I'm hoping that can be taken out of the replacement fund. That's at $1.5 million that we have for improvements. I feel that's definitely an improvement to the collection system. We can do away with those two. So that money exists. It would have to be bid, and then we want to use that money to make improvements in the sewer system. If not, it just keeps continuing to build, and it's mainly designed for that type of building. So
Now, wouldn't those sewer lines come under that?
right now, that is
Just
being
upkeep.
that we have a fund called sewer lines, which is taken out of the regular budget, and that's where that's coming from. So it's as long as it doesn't get too expensive on that, we can continue to take it out of that line item. Any questions on wastewater at all? Nick, anything you want to talk about on wastewater?
No, thank you.
On the water side, update on water plant improvements. Of course, we met with Purchase and you guys just recently approved legislation for them to start design on improvements to a brand new clarifier, demolition of the two older clarifiers and the clear well, and bringing in new pumps into the high surface building variable frequency drives. That contract has been signed, turned into Burgess and Nyepel. We've got the purchase order back on that, so design will start on that anytime. I think I got a meeting with Burgess and Nyepel sometime this week to discuss some of the minor details of the design. They will be meeting with us periodically, like they met on the wastewater side, where we'd have meetings. I try to make sure that all the operators and myself are brought into the meeting so that we try to make this a project together. You know, everybody's in on this project, and we want to make it the best project that we can. I don't want to hide anything from the operators. I want everything out front, so we know what we're getting, what the improvements are going to be, and everybody understands what's going to happen. Because the last thing you want to do is design something. I'm the only one included in on it, and the operators really don't have any input. I thought we did a good job on that on the wastewater side. I don't know how you feel about it, Nick, but every operator on the wastewater side, when we made our last improvement down there, had comments and suggestions. And of course,
They deal with it every day.
right. And the more people you have included in on this, usually the better the project ends up. So we will be. Yeah. So we'll be starting these meetings here in the future, in the near future here, and start on that end.
Joe, how many pumps are you replacing that require the VFDs?
There'll be 2 new pumps and 1 older pump that will probably have a variable frequency drive added to it. So there'll be 3 high service pumps with variable
So
frequency.
they're not on VFDs now?
No,
Existing.
no. It's all on or all off, and that's not good. First of all, it's hard on the piping, and we do on one of the pumps have a valve that opens up and closes slow. But now we'll actually be able to control the motor, ramp it down, and ramp it up as needed.
How big are those motors?
They're about 50 horsepower.
Really? Those are big VFDs.
Yeah, they're pumping clear out to the reservoirs, clear out to the through the system. So. That's right. Yeah, and I think we're going to see a big improvement on that on the east side. I recently I forwarded an email to the mayor. A gentleman was.
Some of you guys know Mike Cadenhead. Mike Cadenhead works at Dianetics.
He recently went on vacation, but he was noticing a chlorine smell and said that, I'm sure I've noticed it periodically, and I know you guys have probably noticed it periodically. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to force, because the EPA has such strict regulations on how much chlorine has to be in the system, and if we write down a number that's below that, then we get in trouble. So what's going to happen with this upgrade that we're in the process of right now on Franklin Avenue and Licking View Pump Station, we're going to be able to reintroduce chlorine to the far east side. So that's going to bring, instead of us trying to put it so strong in the main part of Heath so that it gets out to the outskirts, we will be able to lessen the amount of chlorine, main part of Heath, and add a little bit extra to the outskirts so that people in town don't have that chlorine smell.
John, speaking of Franklin Avenue, where are we at there? I thought that was supposed to start.
It was
We
last,
told
it was
some
supposed to be
people.
last week. And I'm going to, I'll have a press release before they start, but it's supposed to start at the end of this week.
Okay.
That's what they're telling me, toward the end of this week. But
What
they're
company's doing?
TLV Services out of Alexandria, Ohio. They're the ones that put in the new tank on the west
Yeah.
side. But, I called and talked to John Appleman today. He's in contact with Tad. I said, as soon as you find out that they're going to pull in, or try to get me some notice, I'll get something in the paper and get something out on the radio and stuff that, But they're supposed to let us know if they're going to start interrupting traffic. They're supposed to give us like a 48-hour notice before they start jumping into that stuff. So the traffic will be maintained all the time.
What about the pump station?
Pump station,
They're working on it. Right?
yeah, the footers are in, and I think I went through this a little bit last week, I can't remember, but anyway, the footers are in, everything's ready to go. I noticed they were working on some storm water out in front of there today. But that's started underway, and that's gonna be a really nice pump once we get started. So, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the update on well number 5. Well number 5 is a well that we cleaned a couple years ago, but we'd had some problems with it. And what I think the main culprit of it was we had a check valve that failed. And what happens is if the check valve fails, a little bit of water leaks by. So when the other wells are running, water comes back into that well, falls down the well, and aerates. When it aerates, it causes the iron to fall out into the bottom of the well. Well, this iron had built up over a period of time in the bottom of the well. Then we got some iron bacteria in there, and what it did is it plugged the screen off. So what we had to do was we went in there. I told them to put a new check valve in, not a rebuild, but we put a brand new check valve in. We re-scrubbed that screen and cleaned it. Then we televised it to see what it looked like. And it definitely worked, but there was still some more still some more iron bacteria in there. So then we did a chemical treatment where we raised the pH, then lowered the pH to kill off any kind of iron bacteria that was in there. And now we're gonna televise it again one more time to make sure that everything's clean on it. And then it should be in service, I'm guessing, later on this week or the first part of next week. I'll be back in service.
Now, where is well number 5?
Well number 5 is directly behind the plant. If you go in the main building of the plant and you look directly out the back, that's well number 5.
Now, what's
So if you go drive by there, you'll see they've been working on it.
What's
for
the
about
well
2
there,
years.
right there in Novak Park? It's a one well. That one well.
There's 2 wells in Hoback Park there.
Talking about behind the shelter house
Yeah.
area there?
Yeah,
That's we have 7, 8, and 9.
okay.
9's the closest to the well field. 8's about in the middle.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
9's the closest to the ball field. 8's in the middle, and 7's the closer to the shelter house, directly behind the shelter house. So, and then we have 5, and we have 6.
They're all in perfect shape.
They're doing well. They're having trouble. And it's been a dry summer, and we didn't notice how many hours at all. So, I know it's dry because my spring at home on the farm quit running. This week, it went all summer long, and this week, it quit. And I don't know if it's just, now I know we've gotten rain, but I don't know if the rain's really gotten down into the aquifers like it should. Especially, I'm sure this kind of a shallow aquifer, so it's not, but I thought for sure in the middle of the summer when that drought was going on that it would stop, but it just now stopped after all. And I'm hoping some of this rain starts getting things going again.
Water towers across the street from you.
Yeah, maybe. You think I could moonlight something?
Right, a little hose over here.
I don't know. Maybe. But does anyone have any questions on well number 5? We're also going to, the mayor signed a purchase order. We're going to do some work and inspect a WCLT water tank. And we're also going to do some work on Blue Jay water tank. I was up there the other day there, and there must be a hornet's nest up there. It's got to be that tall and that wide.
What is it?
Hornet's nest on top of the tower. It's hanging on the side of it. And you can just see bees coming in and out, or hornets, or whatever they are. But it's that big paper mache.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
So anyway, we're going to clean that tank up.
Experience.
Yeah.
The hose.
How the guy
We
that,
can knock it down somewhere.
how the guy that keeps putting all the chlorine in the water take care of that?
Yeah.
And the lady that's complaining about high chlorine, won't complain.
Yeah. I didn't comment on that, but anyway, well, I guess I did comment. I answered the guy's question, but he was concerned about the chlorine levels and so forth. And I wrote him a quick email back and kind of copied the mayor and kind of explained to him that these improvements should get better by sometime in January when things on this project gets wrapped up. So, but anyway, we're going to inspect the WCLT tank. We're going to also look at the Blue Jay tank, kind of inspect it, and then we're going to kind of clean it up a little bit. There's a lot of algae growing on the sides of it, and it just doesn't look really good. So it's kind of in a woodsy area, and so I don't think it's going to amount to much. But it was a couple $1,000s I haven't inspected. and cleaned off. The guy's gonna power wash it off while I was here, so.
When's luck?
That's what I'm kind of wondering how we're gonna handle that. We may have to, I don't know, maybe we may have to get rid of the hornet's nest before it starts, I'm sure. But, maybe I can get John to go over and knock it down. John will have to do that.
How high is it?
It's way up. It's clear at the top of it. Clear at the top where it starts. You know that it's a cylinder tank. It goes up so far and then it starts to cone on top. Or right where it starts to cone, at the very top, out towards the street. But it doesn't look that big, but I bet you if you get up there, that thing's probably half my body. At least. Of course, you know, they say the higher, maybe that's a good sign too, because then the lower they build those, it's gonna be,
It's gonna be a bad winter if they're up that high.
if they're up high, it's gonna be a bad winter.
Yes, sir. You look at squirrels' nests in trees too. If they're down low, you usually have the Indians always said, you're gonna have a mild winter. But the higher the squirrels be, put their nests up there, they said, the worse the winter you're gonna have. So I think that's the same way with the bees nests.
That's,
or whatever.
yeah, I know, I've heard it.
How big a tank is that WCLT tank?
WCLT is only 133,000 gallons, and Blue Jay's 250,000.
So really, we need some time to think about replacing that tank. or
What we're
adding
doing with
to
it, what we're doing in this pump station thing is now,
Probably add anything more, because what's on top is pretty,
Yeah.
it's not in the best of shape, so.
it's been added to before in the early 80s. It was added on the top of it, so the section on the bottom of it's 57. So I think having this pump,
Wait, so is the top older than the bottom, or vice versa? Because don't you lift those up
yeah, I'm
and then put
sorry,
a new?
did I have it the opposite?
The top would be.
The top would be the oldest because they jack it up, welded, jack it up. Well, so the top is the older section. And we've done some repairs on top of the tank. We've made some welds and so forth where there was some, the tank was getting thin and stuff. So that's another reason why we want to get this inspected too, to see what it looks like. But the improvements that you're making down on Licking View and increasing the size of the pipe on Franklin, all will contribute to that someday being able to put in that tank. If you put in that tank now, you really don't have the capacity to even fill it. So this is kind of leading up to those improvements. Other than that, I don't have anything else unless anyone has some questions.
Power washing.
That's where I talk about power washing, Blue Jay. We're gonna clean that off, and then we're gonna inspect the tanks. So,
Power washing.
Any questions, comments? 6:03.
that is a record for me.
Yeah.
See, if you keep me away from that PowerPoint.
See?
So I'm gonna wrap up this, I'm almost done with it, I just gotta find a way to write the end. But I've got that, guest column that I'm gonna submit to the Advocate.